Trotsky was one of the most important figures of the Russian Revolution, second only to Lenin. Many were inspired by his morale-raising speeches, and even more came to the side of the communists because of him. Yet how did such a crucial figure in the Russian Revolution get destroyed by the very nation he fought so hard to create? This question is one of the most interesting, albeit controversial, in the history of the Soviet Union, yet the answer is quite simple. Let's take a look at the Bolshevik Party just before the revolution. It was characterized by Lenin, Stalin, Zinoviev, and other greats of communism, yet Trotsky only joined in February of 1917, just as the revolution was starting. Previously he was a Menshevik, and this was never forgotten by Stalin and the other Bolsheviks. He joined the Bolshevik Party because he believed that union between the Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks would be impossible to achieve. Skip forward to 1923. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics has been established and is making its way in a world very different to the world of the revolution. The Soviet Union was being led by Lenin, though next year Lenin would die and the Soviet Union would never be the same again. Next year, right after Lenin dies, Stalin will be appointed the General Secretary of the Communist Party. His ideals of communism in one country and a totalitarian society could not be more at odds with Trotsky's ideals of the permanent revolution and mass democracy. Due to the difference between ideals, the conflict between Stalin and Trotsky became more and more intense until his exile in 1928 to Soviet Kazakhstan, and later his exile from the Soviet Union as a whole in 1929. While in exile, he wrote his most important works, and his international popularity increased dramatically. The Revolution Betrayed was one of Trotsky's greatest books, and is still the only serious Marxist analysis of what happened to the revolution and the Soviet Union after Lenin died. In a country where the sole employer is the state, opposition means death by slow starvation. The old principle, "Who does not work shall not eat," has been replaced by a new one, "Who does not obey shall not eat." The Revolution Betrayed was written in 1937 and was one of his most successful works. The Fourth International was an international group of Trotskyists that fought against Stalinism. The organization consisted of delegates from almost all countries at the time, so a founding Congress was established. Despite being in exile, Trotsky and the Fourth International had harmed Stalin and the Soviet Union too much, and so eventually Trotsky was assassinated with an ice pick in his home in Mexico City. The Fourth International flourished, though after Trotsky's assassination and the outbreak of World War II, the organization broke into several groups across the world that had little contact. Since then, the Fourth International has been largely forgotten, though Trotskyism was never forgotten. So how did such a crucial figure in the Russian Revolution get destroyed by the very nation he fought so hard to create? Stalin is the sole answer to that question. His totalitarian rule that resulted in all with different opinions to him being stamped out led to the death of Trotsky, yet his legacy lived on long after his death. Trotskyism is remembered as one of the key branches of communism, and Trotsky as one of the greatest revolutionaries of the 20th century. It has arguably had the largest impact on the world than any other communist ideology.